It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello and welcome to the Rob Carson Show, guys. Glad to have you along today. This is episode number 17 of the Rob Carson Show podcast. Available on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Plus, Google Play, Patreon, and YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel as well. Just look up Rob Carson Show. Also, if you have an Alexa, just say, Alexa, play the Rob Carson Show. All right? That's very easy. It'll play the latest episode of the radio program. Also, you guys on Liberty One TV, hello. I want to say thank you because the show is growing. You know, there are a lot of pundits out there. There's Ben Shapiro. I like to watch Ben Shapiro, Louder with Crowder, and all that stuff. But you are choosing to check out my show, and that means a lot to me. I'm a talk show host. I'm a syndicated comedy writer. If you've ever listened to Rush Limbaugh, I wrote for Rush for many years, and I like to bring humor to politics when I can, and I like to point out absurdity, and you guys are loving it. And I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for listening and watching. If you haven't become a member of Liberty One TV, will you do that? Okay, it's only 33 cents a day, $10 a month, $99 a year. And also, just a couple things. Liberty One is going to be adding all of my designs. You see these designs here? Yeah, these designs right here. I have a bunch of politically incorrect swag, and it's available on T-shirts and other wear. And we've got Christmas coming up, and you can go to teepublic.user/conservatees. I know that's confusing. teepublic.com/user/conservatees. But they're going to be available on the Liberty One TV shop site, okay? And I think you're going to dig them. I've got a great designer named Sam Cangelosi, and he kicks ass. Also, Dot's Homestyle Pretzels. I've been getting a lot of calls, and I should say emails. Terry, the guy who put this network together, he says a lot of people are asking about Dot's Pretzels. I just want to tell you, they're the best effing pretzels you've ever had in your life. And I am not kidding. If you've got an issue with it, you just write me, Carson on the radio, gmail.com. If you go to dotspretzels.com, dotspretzels.com, you can order them online. They've got a bunch of different bags. You will eat them until you pass out. They are buttery. They're a little spice. They are honestly the best thing in the world. Started in the Midwest. They've got a plant in South Dakota or North Dakota. They've got a plant now in Olathe, Kansas, near Kansas City. They're opening a plant in Phoenix. So dotshomestylepretzels.com. I'm telling you, if you're going to want some when you have guests over for holiday parties, your guests are going to go, what? Where have these been all my life? I kid you not. All right? Order some. Trust me on this. If you live in the Kansas City area, there are a lot of places you can get them. If you live in North Dakota, you can get them all over up there. Otherwise, just order them online, okay? Just order them online. Dot's Pretzels, they're sick and wrong, man. They are so good. I'm not kidding. I'm jonesing for some, right? And I know I don't have any because I had one bag left. My wife ate the dang things last night. I was like, Anyway, welcome to the show. Okay, President Trump's approval rating increased to 45% in the first week of December. How is that possible? He's so unpopular. Highest mark he's received since September. It's a Morning Consult and Politico poll. A Politico poll. So Politico's a left-wing rag or website. Majority of voters, 51%, did not approve of Trump's approval in office. But his rating in the December 1st through 2nd survey is 2% higher than it has been in September. So I think there are a lot of good things happening, guys. We had a 3.3% GDP for the third quarter. That's really good, actually. Really, really good. And it's growing, and it's going to be gigantic. 3 in 5 voters saw Trump as reckless. 54% said he's sexist. Another 47% of respondents says he's racist. 39% say he's not. 46% viewed him as knowledgeable. 44% disagreed. I don't know. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's doing a good job. I really do. President Obama is taking credit for the robust economic growth that is taking place under President Trump. At a Chicago conference of mayors, Mr. Obama congratulated himself Tuesday for strong employment numbers in the U.S. this year, saying his climate change policies have contributed to growth. That's a frickin' joke. It is. You didn't even have your overall growth rate. I think it was 1.8% over 8 years in office. Says, as we took these actions, we saw the U.S. economy grow consistently, Mr. Obama said. We saw the longest streak of job creation in American history, by far, a streak that still continues, by the way. He then added, thanks, Obama. Stock market has gained 30% since Donald Trump took office. Gross domestic product has increased more than 3% in the past 2 quarters. Jobless rate has dropped to 17-year low. That's before Barack Obama. So, yeah, whatever, man. Right now, what you're seeing is businesses, people being unleashed. They were leashed by Barack Obama. They were leashed by his environmental policies. I've got a story, actually, about a piece of legislation, an executive order by Barack Obama that is going bye-bye, all right? A majority of Americans say President Donald Trump's administration should work with Congress and local businesses to rewrite the Obama-era Waters of the United States, WOTUS rule. Morning Consult pollsters found not only do most Americans see WOTUS as an example of government overreach, 58% agree the regulation should be rewritten to provide a clear definition of navigable waters within limits set by Congress. Thank you very much. An overwhelming majority, 71%, say the EPA should work with Congress and local business owners to draft a new rule that protects the environment and the economy. Republicans called the WOTUS rule a tyrannical power grab, and it was, that extended federal control over waters not traditionally regulated by the government, including ponds, cattle ponds. I grew up in the Midwest, and if you have a lot of acreage and if you've got a lot of cattle, you build a pond. You wouldn't believe the number of ponds you'll see if you head up I-80 or I-29 across the Midwest. And I-29 goes north and south. I-80 goes east-west. I-70, same thing. You're going to see cattle ponds everywhere. The EPA was regulating those. People were being fined out of existence for not managing ponds or creeks in their backyard. Absolutely ridiculous overreach and power grab. 32 states filed suits against the Obama administration. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt joined the suit, while attorneys general of Oklahoma. A federal judge in North Dakota issued a stay against WOTUS in August of 2015. It's a joke. Bye-bye, regulation. Goodbye. Some people will say it's just because I want dirty water. No, I don't. I don't like dirty water, you see. I have a thing in my fridge that filters the water. It filters it. It gets all the dirt out of it. Yeah, I know. I'm a conservative, too. Crazy. Time has named the silence breakers, the individuals who set off the national reckoning over the prevalence of sexual harassment, as its 2017 Person of the Year. I figured it was going to be Colin Kaepernick. I just did. He was in the running, I guess. Donald Trump was in the running. Let's see who else. Ashley Judd was. Oh, no. She's on the cover. Ashley Judd's on the cover of the magazine. Singer Taylor Swift, former Uber engineer Susan Fowler, and a bunch of women whose faces can't be seen. The chief editor, Edward Felsenthal, I guess, said the galvanizing actions of these women on our cover, along with these hundreds of others and many men as well, have unleashed one of the highest velocity shifts in our culture since the 1960s, and they have. And it started with Harvey Weinstein. Kevin Spacey, Charlie Rose, Louis C.K., Al Franken, joining the list. When you think about it, it is remarkable what is happening in just a couple of months in this country. The hashtag #MeToo movement. I worry that it could go far, and I worry that some men who don't deserve to be labeled sexual harasser might end up with that, on their reputation. That's the only thing. Women and men who broke their silence shared their stories, like I said, with the hashtag #MeToo. I don't know if you knew this. That movement's been around since 2006. Tarana Burke created it. But the hashtag went viral after actress Alyssa Milano shared it in a tweet a few months ago. Burke said on Today, I could never imagine this. Could never have envisioned something that would change the world. I was trying to change my community. She emphasized that's happening now. It's just the start. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. It's not just a moment, it's a movement. Time interviewed dozens of women and men who experienced sexual harassment at their jobs, including movie stars, hotel maids, retail clerks, Silicon Valley programmers, and farm workers as well. And Megyn Kelly. They interviewed Megyn Kelly. I had mentioned on air, when I was in college, I had a professor who was gay. And he was, I am not going to get into the details of it, but he hit on me a lot. He never really grabbed me. He would hug me. He was the only professor at the time in the department that was my second major, because I had a double major. And I felt like I had to take it because he was the only guy there. And I could be failed or I could be whatever. So I endured his bullshit for 4 years. And I'll tell you, I was never molested, didn't allow things to go that far. He did some untoward things that made me feel really, really uncomfortable. Really, really uncomfortable. So I can relate. I can understand. And for those who've been sexually assaulted, I just can't even imagine the pain you felt. So I think, actually, I'm going to agree with Time Magazine this year. I really am. I'm going to agree with Time Magazine. I think it was a good choice. So we've got anti-Trump bias in the Robert Mueller team. I got to tell you, not really. I've done some studying on this, and it is a very complicated story. You've got a Robert Mueller. He has 9 prosecutors who are leftists who've given money to Hillary Clinton. You've got Peter Strzok, who was an FBI agent who took part in interviews with Hillary Clinton about the server, to which he changed the language so it wouldn't be criminal, to basically being essentially getting Jim Comey to exonerate Hillary Clinton before any evidence was heard with regard to the server. He was the guy who interviewed Michael Flynn, ultimately said that Michael Flynn lied to the FBI, and Michael Flynn pled guilty. We found out that this guy, Peter Strzok, was sending anti-Trump, pro-Hillary text messages to his lover in the FBI. He had a mistress, concubine, if you will. The thing is, last Friday, General Flynn pled guilty to lying. The following Monday, after 4 months, Peter Strzok had been out of the agency, and Congress had asked for the details on why and all that. Monday, they announced Peter Strzok's extreme bias after the guilty plea on Friday. Tell me that was not hidden from his defense attorneys, and he ended up having to plead guilty. Unbelievable. This really pisses me off. And you look at Sally Yates, Andrew Weissman, another attorney, he wrote her when she defied Donald Trump's executive order with regard to Muslim countries and allowing people to come in, and he treated her like a hero. He texted her and said, "I am so proud and in awe. Thank you so much." You've got other members. Like I said, at least 9 of Mueller's prosecutors have donated to political candidates, and all have the legal actions taken so far in Mueller's investigation have involved pro-Democrat prosecutors. All right? Peter Strzok. I'm trying to look at the other names. Huma Abedin. She misled the FBI with regard to Hillary's server. She said she had no idea until Hillary Clinton stepped down as the Secretary of State. That's bull crap. She and Cheryl Mills exchanged emails with others saying, "How's the server? The server's down this morning. HC's server's down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." They're not being charged. Michael Flynn's having his career taken away from him. It's bull crap. This morning on Fox and Friends, Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, and I thought this guy was absolutely terrific this morning, talking about how unbelievably unfair, biased the DOJ was in the pocket of Barack Obama. There are holdovers in the DOJ that are there solely to sabotage this president. Here is Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida.
Well, it's deeply troubling that you've got a legal double standard that's playing out before our very eyes. As you just reported in your last segment, Brian, you've got people who hate the president, who have a bias against him, investigating him. Meanwhile, you've got the Hillary Clinton fan club involved in the decisions that related to her illegal conduct. And so as members of Congress and as a member of the Judiciary Committee, we've got to make sure that this double standard doesn't apply going forward. And what's most troubling is that you had Andrew McCabe, the current deputy director of the FBI, designating the Hillary Clinton email scandal as special and not going to go through the normal investigative procedures, but it would be handled by a small team. So Hillary Clinton gets special justice, and at the same time, we're sicking people who hate the president, who have a bias against him, on him, and that's deeply unfair, and it's something we got to look into.
Now, also, by the way, this guy also was involved in the dossier, very involved in the dossier. And the dossier was used, bought and paid for by the DNC, Barack Obama's Organizing for America, and Hillary Clinton's campaign, all three of those. And this guy in the FBI, he worked with them to get the dossier, and he used it to get a FISA warrant to eavesdrop on Donald Trump's campaign. This is all going to come out in the wash. This is all going to come out in the wash. Using the Department of Justice to weaponizing it. That's how I heard Sean Hannity describe it. Weaponizing it. Peter Strzok is a political tool. He was let go 4 months ago. Congress asked. They wanted to know what was this all about, and they were stonewalled by the FBI. Jim Comey, Bob Mueller, thick as thieves. They're buddies. Mueller was was named as the special counsel right after Comey was fired by the president. Robert Mueller has an agenda. The FBI, Barack Obama, had an agenda. What they were going to do is they were going to try and throw the election. Okay, they were going to kind of throw it by working with the Russians, the dossier. They were hoping the dossier would be enough to throw the election. That's what it was all about. It was about throwing the election, and then it was about using it in front of a FISA court, even though it was lame. I'll bet you anything. One of the reasons why the FISA court went for it and said, go surveil, was because of all of the players in the FBI, the president, all of these powerful players. Any other, if this maybe came from the Republican Party or whatever, maybe wouldn't have even happened. But it was used to get a FISA warrant. It was used to disrupt the election. It was used to sabotage the transition period, and it's being used to destroy the Trump presidency. Now, all of the things that have come out, and the FBI has spent $6.3 million on this case. All they have is that one man apparently lied to the FBI. Now, when Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills lied to the FBI, they misremembered. According to Jim Comey, they misremembered. There are a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. Sometimes you might miss something. But I think this is a very ugly chapter. I hope that this continues to grow. And I hope that Michael Flynn is exonerated. I do. Because he's a good and decent man. CNN reported that though Flynn changed his story during the FBI interview, he would not be charged eventually because he convincingly claimed that he had misremembered certain aspects of his conversations with Sergei Kislyak. CNN report, this was published back February the 16th, suggested that Strzok did not believe that Flynn intentionally lied to the FBI. Okay? That actually happened. I'm putting an exclamation point by that. So they changed their tune. They changed their tune because they had nothing. They had nothing. And then they sat on the fact that Peter Strzok was a rabid anti-Trumper a rabid pro-Hillary supporter. And Robert Mueller knew it was going to be a problem 4 months ago, let him go. They sat on it till Friday or till Monday, and the Friday before, that's when they went after Michael Flynn. His lawyers could have easily admitted that and said, no, sir. No, sir. Unbelievable. It really is. It's a lot to digest. I get it. I hope that I've been able to simplify it a little bit for you. So Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat praised President Trump for his decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He was on CNN's New Day, and let me see if I can find that piece. I don't know everything there is to know about Israel. I know that Donald Trump is a huge supporter of Israel, and I know that we have a friend. They have a friend in the White House. It's very clear. It's very clear. But he's very excited about it, that the most powerful nation on earth says Jerusalem's the capital, much to the chagrin of a lot of Arab countries that are known for violence. Here is the Jerusalem mayor talking about this empowering moment by the president.
Well, Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people and of Israel 3,000 years. Behind me, in the ancient city of Jerusalem, where kings and prophets walked 3,000 years ago, everywhere you put a shovel in the ground, you find Jewish roots. And from my perspective, and our perspective here in Israel, that recognition should have been 70 years ago when the state was when Israel started, 50 years ago when Jerusalem was reunited, in 1995 when Congress made that decision, and now I want to applaud President Trump for fulfilling his promise and making that right move. It's the right thing to do. And here in Jerusalem and in Israel, we applaud the president.
Okay, now I thought he was anti-Semite. I thought that there were Nazis in the White House. That doesn't sound very Nazi-like. Hillary Clinton, in July 1999, said that she considered Jerusalem to be the eternal and indivisible capital of Israel. Said she'd be an activist if elected a New York Senate seat to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Why didn't she do that when she was Secretary of State? Why didn't, she was the chief ambassador. In a letter that became public Thursday, Mrs. Clinton wrote, "If I am chosen by New Yorkers to be their senator, in whatever position I find myself in years to come, you can be sure that I will be an active, committed advocate for a strong and secure Israel." Democrats have never been advocates for Israel, and I don't understand why so many self-loathing Jews in this country vote Democrat. I really don't. Able to live in peace with its neighbors with the United States Embassy located in its capital, Jerusalem. It's going to take about 4 years to build the consulate or I wanted to share a cool story, and it's kind of a non sequitur. There's been a lot of rigmarole about sports teams named after Native Americans, and a lot of them are changing their names, and it's even gone beyond that. It's gone to stupid. It's I don't know. There's all sorts of names, but the crux of it started with Native American names. So you can't call yourself the Chiefs. You can't call yourself the Braves. Whatever. And there were some liberals. There was a piece in, I believe it was the Washington Times the Washington Post a couple of years ago. Simon Waxman did a piece that basically ripped on the United States military for naming its helicopters after Indian tribes. And this is a cool piece I saw in the Conservative Times. For years, some liberals have complained about the military's longtime habit of naming helicopters after Native Americans, like the Apache, the Black Hawk, etc. The Conservative Times spoke to the U.S. Army Aviation Museum in Fort Rucker, Alabama, Major Crispin Burke, active duty U.S. Army aviator. And he explained that the tradition began with the Army Governor General Hamilton Howe's 20th century military figure, towering force in the development of U.S. copter strategy. According to the museum director, early Army helicopters had relatively benign names like Hoverfly. Doesn't sound very badass, does it? That didn't sit well with General Howe's. He envisioned the copter as a fast, mobile, stealthy machine on the field of battle using terrain and vegetation as advantage similar to the warrior tribes that fought the U.S. Army in the plains and mountains of the West. because of Howe's influence, the Army commissioned a copter in 1947 that ended up being called the H-13 Sioux. This is cool. This is cool. Listen to this. Piston-powered whirlybirds like the Shawnee, Choctaw, Chickasaw soon followed. 1959, the Army christened its first twin-turbine-powered helicopter, the UH-1 Iroquois. You know what that chopper's called now? The Huey. It's called the Huey. I flew in a Huey a couple times. I used to go to Andrews, and they'd have an open house, and they'd invite media people. I was not worthy. They'd take us up in a Huey, and you'd fly right up the Potomac River, literally 100 feet above the Kennedy Center. It was epic. Maybe 600 or 800 feet up. It wasn't very high. And people would wave from the bridges. They would wave from the bridges, and then they'd bank hard and come back down the river and then land back. And it was intense. And they have them lined up on the tarmac, and they're so precise. They lift them, it goes up, and they turn like soldiers in formation. And they turn, and they march, and then march, turn, and then when you're up. It's spectacular. It's really loud, too. I mean, really loud. 1960s, the military broke with its newfound tradition, introduced a new helicopter, the Huey Cobra, named after the snake. Apparently, some Native American leaders were actually taken aback that the new aircraft wasn't named for a Native American tribe. And it kind of backfired, so they said, we're back. We're going back. The military wound up returning to the tradition of naming helicopters after Native Americans. I think that's really cool. Since then, the military has continued to name new helicopters after tribes that historians have noted for their martial prowess. Pretty badass. Pretty badass. You know, I wasn't here when Europeans moved in and took over the country. It's not my fault. I think it's really cool that our military honors them. I do. State-run Jilin Daily, Chinese media outlet based in the province bordering North Korea, is issuing common-sense guidelines for nuclear war. That's kind of scary. They want to help their citizens survive. The article doesn't mention North Korea specifically. Article explains there are 5 destructive aspects of the nuclear explosion: light radiation, blast waves, early stage nuclear radiation, nuclear electromagnetic pulses, and radioactive pollution. They say if you get caught outside when a bomb goes off, dive into a ditch, river, or lake. Cover your exposed skin. For those who can get shelter, the paper urges people to close their doors and windows and seek cover under beds and tables. The piece also instructed people to shower, clean out their ears, and scrub their clothes clean. Some people from NBC staffers are a little gun-shy about going to Pyongyang for the Winter Olympics 2018 because it's, in South Korea, 40 miles south of the DMZ. So they're saying they don't want to go. They usually all want to sign up for the Olympics, but they're afraid to get nuked. If NBC News employees have concerns about attending, they are not required to go, as was the policy with the Rio Summer Olympics and Zika fears, apparently. I don't know. What do you want? You want to go to North Korea and risk being nuked, or stay in Rockefeller Center and get raped or assaulted? I don't know. NAACP, leftist Democrat organization, says that Donald Trump should not come to the Mississippi-based Civil Rights Museum grand opening this weekend. This according to NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson. President Trump's statements and policies regarding the protection and enforcement of civil rights have been abysmal. Show me a piece of legislation, fool. His attendance is an affront to the veterans of the civil rights movement. No, it's not. He has created a commission to reinforce voter suppression. Refused. Bullcrap. That's bullcrap. It's about making sure the vote is real and the vote is not stolen from people. Refused to denounce white supremacists. That's a lie. Overall has created a racially hostile climate in this nation. No, he hasn't. The last 8 years, that's grown. That's grown. And it peaked with Democrats on campaign trails saying that there were white supremacists on the Trump campaign and Donald Trump wanted to kill black people. It's a load of crap. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked about this, and she got into an exchange with American Urban Radio reporter April Ryan. By the way, don't apply at American Urban Radio if you're a white person. Thought you should know. Exclusively black. Here is, there might be a few white people. I'm not sure, but there aren't very many. It's the American Urban Radio reporter. Anyway, here's the exchange between her and Sanders, and Sanders would have none of it. No, sir.
Sarah, a couple of questions. One, there are comments from people from the NAACP, from black ministers who are planning on protesting and boycotting this weekend for the president's visit to the Civil Rights Museum. What say you?
I think that would be honestly very sad. I think this is something that should bring the country together to celebrate the opening of this museum and highlighting.
Now, they're afraid because they're afraid that Donald Trump will get some points. That's what they're afraid of. They've done their very best to trample him. They've done their very best to make everyone think that he is some sort of a racist, even though he has done nothing racial. He was a powerful force in New York City for equality. He got many awards with people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton sitting in the audience or presenting awards to them. But if Donald Trump has a victory with African Americans, then what's the NAACP going to do?
Civil rights movement and the progress that we've made. And I would hope that those individuals would join in that celebration instead of protesting it. However, they have every right to protest it. Jordan?
It's an insult that he's coming as we've had issues of Charlottesville.
Okay. Charlottesville, he said they were bad people on both sides. And I'm going to share real quick what I mean by that. He was right.
The back and forth, the president couldn't get his statement straight on Charlottesville.
I think he got his statement very clear when he condemned all forms of racism, bigotry, and violence. There's no gray area there, and I think he made it very clear what his position is. Jordan.
Let me go ahead and read his position. But apparently it didn't happen at the right time. Racism is evil. Those who cause violence in its name and criminals and thugs. Oh, he said the word thugs. He's a white guy. Can't use that word. Including KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. Those who spread violence in the name of bigotry strike at the very core of America. Here's why the Charlottesville police did not get involved. You know why? They weren't concerned about violence from, at least not as concerned about violence from the guys carrying the torches, which I thought was despicable, by the way. The Unite the Right rally, it was grotesque. But they were afraid of Antifa members bringing soda cans filled with concrete, that they might attack police. And then, on the morning of August 12th, they had heard that the Antifa might attack officers with fentanyl, which can kill you with a touch. They were more concerned about the left. They were more concerned about the right. Or not about the right, I'm saying. But I think they're despicable people. I think your white supremacy is disgusting. I think black supremacy is disgusting. Beyonce, the billionaire, made a surprise appearance to a humbled Colin Kaepernick with the Muhammad Ali Legacy Award at the Sports Illustrated Awards on Tuesday night. Here is the presentation and his speech.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and by the way, just listen for one word that he uses a lot.
I'm so proud and humbled to present the Muhammad Ali Legacy Award to Colin Koepernick.
I accept this award knowing that the legacy of Muhammad Ali is that of a champion of the people, and one who was affectionately known as the people's champ.
Ding.
I accept this award not for myself, but on behalf of the people.
Ding.
Because if it were not for my love for the people,
Ding.
I would not have protested. And if it was not for the support from the people,
Ding.
I would not be on this stage today.
Ding. Oh.
With or without the NFL's platform, I will continue to work for the people.
Ding.
Because my platform is the people.
Okay, there you go. So there's his speech. He used the word people a lot. I don't know what people he's talking about. Most people don't support the kneeling or sitting during the national anthem, so it's not the people, you know. My problem with Colin Kaepernick is he has no finish line. He has no finish line. He's mad and he blames the country. He's mad about a bogus statistic with regard to police officers shooting unarmed black men. This started with Ferguson, Black Lives Matter. Colin Koepernick is a social justice warrior who has worn T-shirts with Che Guevara on it, murderous, bigoted monster. And Colin Koepernick, there's no finish line for him. It's his movement. He'll stand when the country meets his approval, I guess. I think the movement is selfish in that way. There's nothing wrong with standing during the national anthem. Black people have stood for decades and decades for the national anthem. They, like anybody, when they're at a sporting event or before a public event, they stand, they tear up when the national anthem plays because there's pride and there's freedom in this country. It's not 1959. It's not 1967. This is a really disturbing story. Joe Nathan Goodwin, who was at work on Friday, got a call from his distraught girlfriend, Natasha. This is in Georgia, telling him that the police had turned up at their home and shot their dog. Okay? So he rushed home to be with the dog. Little did he know the worst was yet to come. The cops who claimed they shot the animal when it lunged at a deputy then ordered the grieving pet owner to decapitate the dog for rabies testing. Apparently, the dog had bitten someone, and the officers wanted the dog tested for rabies. They asked the man to cut his dog's head off. Here's a little bit of the audio that's recorded. You can hear him talking. There's a trying to think of the name of this investigator. They had two officers out there. They had an investigator named, last name Hollis. And you can hear the exchange between Hollis and him. And you must admit, as a pet owner, you'd be dumbfounded and horrified, A, to see your dog laying there dead, and B, to ask the owner to cut its head off. Here's the exchange.
I will cut the head off and get it to y'all. You leave.
I tell you what,
bye.
Ma'am, let me call you back in about.
He was telling the deputies to leave, get off his property.
2 minutes, okay? I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm Investigator Hollis. You're not gonna talk to me, nor my deputy like that.
Dude, really? What's going on?
This could have easily gotten very, very ugly. This investigator was very impatient. A friend of mine on the radio in Atlanta said he could be even racist. He sees some, hick out in the sticks, and this investigator's a black guy, and this officer just, without even considering that the owner of the dog might be distraught, really went after this guy aggressively.
Oh, listen, you're not gonna talk to anybody like that, okay? You're gonna either listen and be.
I heard.
It's like saying you're not gonna. I tell you what, I will take you to jail and charge you, and we'll see how much the law
charge
is.
Me with what?
When I get there, and give you the
make
charge,
it up.
And I don't make everything. I'm gonna go by Georgia law, okay?
What's the Georgia law? What did I break?
I tell you what, sir.
First off, you can
sit there and try to record all you want to record, okay?
I'm protecting myself. Y'all come
you
at
can
me.
Protect yourself.
I reacted to having to cut my fucking dog's head off.
We asked you to remove the dog head.
Yeah.
He said we asked you.
Yeah, that's
you refusing.
Asked you, I guess.
Right.
I ain't got a knife to cut off.
Unbelievable.
Now, if you would have just listened to us and let him get done explaining when she explained everything to him. We don't know this process either.
Well, they didn't know the process. The officers were completely unready for this.
You just told me you were animal control, dude.
I was. I don't never have to do this. I don't cut dogs' head off.
In a world filled.
Okay. Unbelievable. The owner said that the dog had been vaccinated for rabies. The cops wouldn't let him leave the scene to get the paperwork. He cut the dog's head off with a small knife. Said this was very traumatic for the kids and I. Said that on Facebook. He posted the video. He said, I don't think anyone should be forced to do what I had to do to their own animal. I'm sick to my stomach. I can't get that out of my head. Following the beheading, another video clip shows the officer telling Dacon, the owner, put the head in a plastic bag. He says, you got to freeze it. Then it can be tested for rabies. The owner said he cried all the way to the health department with the dog's Dead dog's head in a bag. Dropped it off on Friday. Typically, animals suspected of being with rabies are quarantined for 10 days. If the animal's been killed, they send the brain in for screenings. It's unheard of for a mourning pet owner to be asked to remove their own dog's head for the procedure. If the animal is infected, removing the head without proper training or equipment could also put the owner at risk. It's a sickening story. It is a sickening story. The first male sex harassment lawsuit in Hollywood has taken place. Actor Terry Crews. He's been in a lot of stuff. He had a show called Are We There Yet? He's been in a bunch of action movies. I'm trying to remember. There's a bunch of action movies that Sly Stallone's in, a bunch of the old school action movie guys, and there are a bunch of them. The Intolerables. I can't remember. He has filed a lawsuit against Adam Vennett over claims that the agent grabbed his genitals during a industry party in 2016. He claims in his suit that Verrett stared at him like a rabid dog, sticking his tongue in and out of his mouth provocatively. Crews says he pushed Vennett and turned to actor Adam Sandler and said, Adam, come get your boy. He's grabbing my nuts. Crews says he was on his way from the event. Adam Sandler called and asked if he was okay, and Crews responded that he was surprised he was molested at age 48. This guy just walked up and grabbed him by the balls. Crews says he met with the WME, that's, I guess, the agency this guy works with, Chairman Ari Emanuel. He apologized for Vennett's behavior. Crews says he told Emanuel he feared retaliation. Emanuel said Vennett did not have the level of power, despite his title as head of the motion picture department. Unbelievable. This agent, whose clients include Emma Stone, Adam Sandler, Dustin Hoffman, placed on a 1-month suspension by the firm following Crews' allegations. Earlier this month, the actor said he's never felt more emasculated, more objectified. He says people need to be held accountable, and this is bullshit. Who's going to walk up to Terry Crews? Have you seen Terry Crews? He's a big dude. A few years ago, I went on a press junket with TBS for Are We There Yet? And I spent the weekend hanging around with Terry Crews. And Ice Cube, oddly enough. He was there as well. And Terry Crews is a big dude. He's a bodybuilder, former football player, former MFL player. I wouldn't mess with him. You must think you've got some sort of hubris and power in Hollywood to walk up to Terry Crews and grab him by the genitalia. He's lucky Terry Crews didn't break his damn neck. Terry's a really good guy. A really good, personable, genuine, eye contact kind of guy, even though he's a celeb. Really, really cool dude. Production of the movie The Usual Suspects was shut down, apparently, when it was filmed in 1995 for 2 days after Kevin Spacey was accused of inappropriate sexual behavior. Gabriel Byrne said that on Sunday, talking to the UK Sunday Times. Spacey was accused of sexual misconduct by a younger actor that prompted the brief shutdown. Didn't know the extent of the situation. Byrne didn't know. He says, he was kind of a joke in that people would say, that's Kevin. Never really understood the depth of the predations. It was only years later that we began to understand that filming was closed down for a particular reason, and that was because of inappropriate sexual behavior by Spacey. Byrne called Spacey a bully, comparing him to disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein, saying that both had the element of absolute abuse of power. He was a dick. He was a dick. Great movie. Oh, my God, what a great movie. Benicio del Toro, perfect. Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, Chaz Palminteri, Pete Postlethwaite. Gabriel Byrne was just ridiculous. It's a great movie. Great movie. New York Times went after left-wing elites, Hillary Clinton, talent agency CAA, Bob Weinstein, about all of them being complicit in aiding and abetting Harvey Weinstein's decades-long predations, according to New York Times. Now, New York Times killed a story that would have blown the lid off the Weinstein investigation in 2004. Several people had warned Hillary Clinton, Lena Dunham, which was just a piece of work, Lauren Clinton's team saying that he's a rapist. He says, I just want you to let you know that Harvey's a rapist, and this is going to come out at some point, Miss Dunham told Christina Shake, the campaign's deputy communications director. I think it's a really bad idea for him to host fundraisers. Weeks before Election Day, Harvey Weinstein helped organize a star-packed fundraiser, an evening on Broadway with Julia Roberts, Anne Hathaway, and others. Hillary supporter Tina Brown also said she warned the campaign. Well, why would sexual harassment be anything to stop you? All you got to do is go after the victims. Nobody needs to know the better. Couple light stories before we wrap things up. Delta flight from New York City to Seattle had to make a stop in Billings, Montana. Do you know what happened? Plane's toilets filled up. Passengers couldn't hold it any longer. Are we there yet? Billings Gazette reports the direct flight diverted hundreds of miles south on Saturday to make an emergency bathroom stop. Delta says that upon landing in Billings, the plane had to taxi due to a cargo area because the gate was not available. Delta says ground crews rolled a stairway to the passengers so passengers could disembark to find relief. Wow. Wow. It's an interesting story. Reading, Pennsylvania police Reading police say some people searching for a Christmas tree in western Shasta County on Monday found a partially clothed kidnapping victim forced to take shelter in a dead tree and drink from puddles to survive. Wow. It's like Chevy Chase and his family going out into the woods to cut down a tree, and this is what they found. 25-year-old victim. This guy, Captain Eric Wallace is a Reading, works with the police department. Told investigators, told investigators that two acquaintances of hers, Joanna Knighton and Fred Sanderson, both of Reading, kidnapped her from Mistletoe Lane and Victor Avenue Sunday afternoon, possibly because they believe she stole drugs from one of them. Sanderson assaulted her, and the duo made off with her clothes except for a pair of shorts. Left her out there to freeze, I guess. She said that she had to suffer through extremely cold temperatures, including rain and snow, stayed in a hollowed-out tree, and drank from puddles. Found her. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Finally, I want to wrap things up with something like, you listening to Christmas music lately? I've been listening to, I like it. I'm enjoying it. I don't like to play it too early during the season, but now's the season. Got our Big Lots badly lit Christmas tree in the living room, and it's such a joy to turn on. It's cheesy. It's what we got. It's what we got. You ever wonder in the most recorded Christmas songs? Billboard put together a list of the most recorded Christmas songs. Okay? So there are this many versions of the song. All right? Listen to this. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You has been done 13,419 times by people. Last Christmas by Wham, number 27 with 17,000 different versions made. Blue Christmas, 42,325 different versions, according to Billboard. So this is any artist who's done it, I guess. Silver Bells, number 13, 48,000. Let's go to the top 10. Let It Snow, number 10. I'll Be Home for Christmas, number 9, 56,000. Joy to the World, 59,000, number 8. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, 7, 65,000. Santa Claus Is Coming to Town, number 6, with almost 70,000 versions of it. Winter Wonderland, number 5, with 70,500. The Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, has been done 80,000 times. Number 4, Jingle Bells, 89,000. Number 2, you ready? White Christmas. White Christmas, 128,000 versions of that song. Virgins, I said virgins. Wow, that's weird. And Silent Night, number 1. Silent Night has been done 137,315 times. So this is by orchestras, this is by singers, this is by instrumentals, this is by opera singers, I'm assuming, all of these people who've recorded versions of it, and that's why there's so many of them. And that's cool. That's really cool. People like the hits. They like the hits. That's just the way it is. This is coming from a guy who used to do music radio. We'll never do it again. All right? That's going to do it for my show today. I want to thank you guys very much for listening. Pardon me one second. I'm just a little distracted over here. I'm my technical director. Want to thank you for viewing. You guys on Liberty One TV. It means a lot. It really does. If you want to write me personally, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. carsonontheradio@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook at Rob Carson Show. I'm on Twitter at Rob Carson. Check out the swag line, TEE Public /user/conservatees with 2 E's. Excuse me. Also, DotsHomestylePretzels.com. DotsPretzels.com. DotsPretzels.com. I promise you. And I don't promote things that I don't believe in, okay? Dots Pretzels, you try them. They will be the best pretzels you've ever had in your life. You will love them. DotsPretzels.com. Order some. Have a bowl of them. Have a bag of them. Have it there whenever you have any guests over for the holidays. Have it there for New Year's. You will not regret it. In the meantime, God bless you. Merry Christmas, and I will see you again tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.